So look, I'm Wyza, right? Name I go by. Hi to anyone that's new. I want to preface this video about Jinder Mahal by saying how diverse a wrestling crowd can be, or a wrestling fan can be, right? We all have different things that we like, dislike, things that we want to see, things we don't want to see, things that we can get in on board with, things that we can't. You know, everybody has different views on what they look for in wrestling and also in entertainment. They also have, all of us, all knows what makes sense to us. Now, I sort of pride myself, because it's a genuine me. I sort of pride myself in being objective to the wrestling fan, in a sense, and also to wrestling in general. I kind of pride myself in being objective because I like to stir the pot. You know, I like to get people thinking outside the box a little bit. And by me doing that, I'm able to come up with such out of this world predictions that a lot of times come true. The Jinder Mahal push, I saw this coming a mile away. And there was no one, again, this sometimes when you get something right, you got to big yourself up for it. There was no one that saw this coming. You could listen to any reviewers or anybody on the internet, and you could listen to Meltzer, anybody. There was no one that called Jinder's push as far back as I did. I called this thing back when they put him and Rusev together with Lana. I called it way back then that they were doing something here. Nobody bought in. Okay. Then we go to his match with Sami Zayn. I noticed that they let him get a lot of offense in that match. Now, this is a guy that was he was a jobber. For all of his career in the WWE, he was a jobber. But when I noticed that they was letting him get an offense on him, and I noticed that they let him get in a ton of offense on Finn Balor, and I noticed at the Royal Rumble, they used him to get into Gronk's face. They could have used anybody else. They used him to get into Gronk's face, you know, and set up that whole thing with Gronk being the reason why he was eliminated and ultimately Mojo Rawley winning. It's small things that you got to pay attention to when guys are getting a push. And this is why I say some of the things that I say, because I want you guys to start thinking outside of the box with things that are predictable to me aren't too predictable to everyone else. Now, in saying that, there's a lot of fans that you can turn off. For example, if you look at the Roman Reigns fiasco, there are some people that are on board with it. There are some people that aren't on board with it. And I see things in a way like I see money in this guy, right? And I can make up reasons as to why he should be the face of the company. Should the guy go heel? Yeah, sure. But then it comes to the point where you say, okay, people are booing the heck out of him. They don't like him. How about we turn him heel so then we can like him? Wait, what? Do you want to like the guy or you don't want to like the guy? And when I say I'm objective, I mean things like that. You say you don't like him, so turn him heel so that I can like him. That's extremely hypocritical. And that's what I try to get away from, and that's what I try to get people to see. You can have your opinions, but you have to be consistent with your opinions. And this is a long preference. I'm sorry here, but you have to be consistent in what it is that you're saying and what it is that you're believing. I can't, like, you've never heard me say that I don't like Roman, and the only way for me to like him is, you know, you got to turn this guy heel. He'll get over then. Now, granted, I do understand the comparison to Die Rocky Die, right? Where, you know, they made him up as this. Listen, the type of baby face that The Rock was in the beginning is not like what Roman Reigns is, but we like to use that as a comparison. So let's go there. So you had that Tarzan ass looking Rock. He went over to, you know, you turned him heel, right? And then he finally started to get over because the crowd did not want this guy as that guy that he was. Now, I don't think that the crowd had a problem with him being a babyface. They had a problem with him being that character that they were giving off of The Rock. So, Die Rocky Die was born. They turned him heel. He got over. And you're saying that that's what's going to get Roman Reigns over. Now, while I don't disagree with you, I really don't disagree with the people that have that thought process. It's just the way we go about making it make sense. Right? We can't say, again, I've said it about 4 times now, we can't say, I just don't like Roman. He doesn't have this. He's not good at this. He sucks at this. He's this, and this. But you say, if you turn him heel, then I'll like him. Okay, so you'll like him, but what about all of those things that you don't like about him? Do we accept those things? Are all of those things, like, cool now? Are they neutralized because he just turns heel? People say he can't wrestle. Roman Reigns has been having good wrestling matches. I'm sorry, I'm making this about Roman Reigns. But the reason why I'm bringing up Roman Reigns is this. I sometimes defend things that people don't like, and it turns people off, right? I'll look at my Discord chat, which I'll have a link for in the description if you want to join my Discord and talk wrestling and talk any other thing. We have sports chats and all types of stuff in my Discord. Join up, you know, welcome to the family. But what I notice is in there is sometimes people, you voice your opinion everywhere, right? And sometimes folks let me know how much they disagree with my views on things, right? And that's okay. That's 100% okay. I don't say things in order for you to 100% agree with them. I say things because it's how I feel about something, or it's how I view something, which is why I have a YouTube channel, so that I could get my views and opinions out there. Everyone can do it. Everyone can go out there and have their views and opinions on things and make a channel. Just, you know, what makes you so different? You can do the same thing I'm doing, you know? But you choose to watch me sometimes. And I appreciate that. And I'm not saying that you have to see things the way that I see them. As a matter of fact, I prefer that sometimes you disagree with me, because it brings something different to the table and it gets me thinking about things outside of the box. I like to think outside of the box a little bit when it comes to wrestling. And when people disagree with some of the things that I say, it makes me think outside of the box. So I 100% welcome it. I 100% welcome it. And it's a very big part of the reason why when I have Blackjack on, me and Blackjack as a duo speaking on wrestling works so well, is because we contrast in our opinions. And we never shoot each other down because our opinions are different. We hear each other out. If we agree to, if we disagree and we can't come to an agreement, it's just agree to disagree. No big deal. And we keep going with our opinions on wrestling. And that's how wrestling fans should be. It shouldn't be, you don't like a guy that I don't like, so I don't like you, or some shit like that, right? It shouldn't be like, I like this guy, you don't like him, so I don't like you. Or I don't like this guy, you like him, I don't like you, I'm not going to listen to you anymore. No, spark up some conversation with it. Let's talk. Right? And that's the reason why I'm making this video about Jinder Mahal. Long ass introduction to that, right? When it comes to Jinder Mahal winning the WWE Championship, I'm 50-50 on it. I'm 50-50 on it. I like the character that they're building with him. I like the way he's coming off. I like his look, even though he's roided out of his mind. I like his look. But at the same time, I can admit that I'm not on board with how high they've pushed him. Not how far, but how high they've pushed him, how suddenly it was. I'm not on board with that. And they can give him the same push in the mid card. A very huge portion of the reason why he's become the champion is because they want to expand to the Indian market. Now, while I get that, you don't have to put your WWE championship on him in order to do that. You can, if you want to say that the championship makes the man, and we want to expand to the Indian market, or the India market, we want to expand there, and we need him having the title to do so, because it's going to make it that much more important over there. Why not put the U.S. title on him and make the U.S. title more important? By them just completely skipping the mid-card title with him, lets you know just how little they value the mid-card title. If you go back to when, I'm not going to say go back to the golden era of that thing. If you just go back to when the IC title was important and guys fought for that title and it meant something to them, then you could use a Jinder and you could put that title on him and he'll carry that title, and it still means a lot, because it's like, all right, we're expanding to the Indian market. We have a title on this guy. That title is now important to that Indian market. It's still something. So I feel as though they didn't have to go the route of the WWE Championship so soon or so fast as they did. So I'm 50-50 on that, because I like what they're doing with him. I just don't like that they pushed them to the main title that fast. So there's a couple of comments that was in our review from last night that sparked me wanting to do this video. And this is why I say, hey, leave comments. Don't be afraid to disagree. You know, if you agree with me, hey, if you agree, go for it, right? Go for it. Drop it in the comments. Let me know what you agree with. You know, let me know how my reviews or how my videos affect you, or whatever the case may be. If you disagree, don't be afraid to leave a comment on it. You know, I'd rather you leave a comment about your disagreement, and then we could talk, we could chat it out. I'd rather you do that than just completely leave the channel and all, because then we have the wrong impression of me. And I don't want the wrong impression of me. We can talk. It's times like this where I wish my damn internet was on, where I could have these call-ins and do podcasts like this where where we could just talk. Here's one. Now again, these disagreements aren't attacking me. It's just, kind of disagreeing with my view on it. I have two that I want to talk about here. I have one from the Hill Player, and I have one from Mike RKO316. The Hill Player has been a long time very, very long time subscriber of mine. I'm not even sure if the motherfucker still watches. But I see that he's here in the comments. I appreciate your comment. He says, personally, I'm not buying into Jinder as the champion. Why should I care? Now, again, what he's saying is very valid. Why should I care about a guy who's been a jobber ever since the Great Khali days? Not only that, but it doesn't make sense for him to all of a sudden be champion. I was expecting either Luke Harper or Eric Rowan to win the #1 contenders match, because in storyline, if you want to follow continuity, better way to say that is story continuity. God damn it, that is what he said. Fuck, I can't read. Luke Harper should still have beef with Randy Orton for destroying the Wyatt family and making him having to fight Bray. Oh, okay, and making him have to fight Bray. And Eric Rowan just returned, still loyal to Bray Wyatt, so he should still have beef with Randy Orton as well. Instead of that, we got two big guys fighting each other for no reason other than the fact that they're two guys from the Wyatt family, while we have a jobber who looks like an Indian Incredible Hulk on steroids fighting Randy Orton and beats him. Not buying it at all. So let's talk about that a little bit. I could understand why you're not buying into Jinder Mahal. And it's because he's been a jobber up until now. And that kind of goes along with what I was saying. They could have built this guy up through the mid card. They could have built this guy up. They could have taken their time with this guy and like have people notice the push. And if you want to expand to that Indian market or that India market, what you do is you push this guy and push this guy. And but you do it kind of low key in that mid card division. And you have the people of India start to get behind him because they notice that this guy is starting to get a push little by little. You develop his character. You know, you have him lose, you have him win, but you put some build behind his character so that the people of the Indian market can get behind it. And then when he wins that title, the mid-card title, it gives the people of India a reason to celebrate. This entire thing was done with no build until like the last month. That's not enough time to build up somebody that's been a jobber for like the past 5 or 6 years. That's not going to resonate with a lot of the people. So I agree with you on that. But let's talk about this Luke Harper and Eric Rowan thing. Now, if this doesn't apply, let it fly, and this goes for everyone. But if you're saying that I was expecting either Luke Harper or Eric Rowan to win a #1 contenders match because of in storyline, if you want to follow continuity, Luke Harper should still have beef with Orton for destroying the Wyatt family and having him fight Bray Wyatt. And Eric Rowan just returned loyal to Bray Wyatt, so he should have beef with Eric Rowan, with Orton as well. So again, if this doesn't apply, let it fly. But if you are a person that when wrestling gives you something predictable and you say, oh, it's so predictable, then you are a hypocrite. Again, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. And if you are a hypocrite, I say that with the utmost respect that you are a hypocrite. If you're not a person that complains about things being predictable, then let's continue on, right? Most people say that they want to be surprised in wrestling. They like the element of surprise. If we follow the storyline of Luke Harper and Eric Rowan and Randy Orton and that whole deal, then I seen this coming a mile away. Now, Bray Wyatt has been drafted to Raw. So if we're talking about story continuity, the Wyatt family has been disbanded for now. It has been disbanded. And if they continue on with Luke Harper and Eric Rowan chasing after Randy Orton for what he did, they're moving backwards. Because the story is already over. It's done. Them drafting Bray Wyatt at the time that they did was very bad timing because it left so many loose ends in that plot hole. But they can't keep going Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, and Randy Orton because it still ties them to a guy that's not there. So let's say that either one of them beats Randy Orton or Randy Orton beats them. What does it do for Bray Wyatt? It doesn't do anything because it all reflects back to Bray Wyatt, but Bray Wyatt isn't there to keep that story going. So they have to separate all of that. And what they did is they try to give you a blow-off between Luke Harper and Eric Rowan because those were the real family members. If you watch Talking Smack, Eric Rowan expressed how deeply this hurt him that Luke Harper turned his back and left the family. That's the reason why they were going at it and why they had this match. So there is a reason. It's because Eric Rowan was affected by this and he just wanted to get his hands on a guy that he called his brother. So they needed to tie up that loose end if nothing else. Personally, I would have had Luke Harper trying to get into the head of Eric Rowan so that they could become tag team again, because those two together as a tag team actually worked very well. But that's neither here nor there. Story continuity, they needed to get away from Randy Orton because Bray Wyatt already beat him, thus ending that feud. Therefore, Randy Orton has been dealt with. Luke Harper and Eric Rowan needed to finish up their thing. So I think that WWE did that correctly. As far as Jinder and why you should care, even though he's a jobber, I think I explained that one extensively there. But if I didn't, then this comment from Mike RKO 316 should help me dive into it a little bit more. So, Hill Player, by me answering this next comment is going to, give you a bit more to work with. Mike RKO 316 says, I'm still not buying Jinder at all. The guy's been a jobber forever. All of a sudden, WWE has to give him a push so that they can pander to the Indian or the India for business reasons, saying, look, we have an Indian superstar, please like us. Meanwhile, he still needs two goons to make distractions for him so that he could sneak a win. How does that make him legitimate at all? Hashtag Jabrahaja. Kind of spelled that wrong. You need another A there. So let's talk about this one. Now, we have to look at one thing he said here. WWE has to give him a push so that they can pander to India for business reasons, saying, look, we have a superstar, please like us. Now, I say this with the utmost respect, but WWE doesn't have to pander to you. I say that humbly. I say that humbly, and I don't mean that in an attacking way. I say that with the utmost respect. You are of one person in comparison to an entire country that they are trying to expand to. If you look at it from a number scale, let's just put things on a scale here, Mike. Let's put things on a scale. We have you, I don't know how much you weigh, and we have the country of India. Which one is going to put the weight into something, right? Let's say that you, Mike RKO 316, stop watching wrestling. You just completely give up on wrestling. You stop watching. Now, let's say that we go over there to India and we have somebody over there named Mike that stopped watching wrestling, and he's just Mike, and he just stopped watching wrestling. Well, we still have the entire country of India watching wrestling minus Mike. So if we have 10 people in India that's buying merch, right? And they make $100, right? But Mike from India decides to leave. They're still making $90. Let's look at America. You have 100 people, right? Because I think it's safe to say that America's bigger than India. I would think so. You have 100 people buying merchandise at $10 a pop, and Mike leaves. Well, they're still making $990. So on a bigger scale of things, individually, we don't matter. But if we're trying to get an entire country behind us, I think that WWE, from a business perspective, and I say this humbly and with the utmost respect, from a business perspective, it makes sense to pander to an entire market. But since we're on the subject of India, let's take a look at India. Last year, where my channel actually performed well, I used to look at my analytics when I was doing wrestling. And one thing that I would notice, I would look at where my views are coming from. What parts of the country my views are coming from. And it would be the US, mainly, of course. But in number 2, which surprised me, because not only, it was India. India was number 2 for a very long time. And I would ask people, why the fuck are there so, do they have computers in India? I was so confused as to how there were so many people in India watching my stuff. And the reason why it was alarming is because number 3 was so far off of India's number. If I would use a pie scale, let's say WWE is, not WWE, America's at 60%. I would say India is at like 25%. That makes up 85% of my viewing audience, whereas the rest of the countries would dwindle down into the 5s and 3s and 1s. India is a huge market, and they're really getting into wrestling right now. And that's why WWE has to take advantage of that. So again, I say this respectfully, Mike. Individually, we mean nothing. But as a country, you make the most noise. That's why WWE is going to pander to a country instead of how we individually feel. We all individually feel a certain way about a certain wrestler, and WWE is going to continue to push their narrative because if it makes sense to them business-wise, that's what they're going to go with. I'll give you another example. You look at a Vince McMahon who individually could not understand why a nation would like Cesaro. And he made the business decision to not push this guy. And it's a business decision that has hurt him because it left a ton of money on the table. See how a bigger number affects a smaller number? If that one individual guy, Vince McMahon, bought into Cesaro, he could have made that money. So it works both ways. It works both ways. Let me see. Meanwhile, he still needs 2 goons to make distractions for him so he can sneak in the win. That's just heat. That's just heat. And I agree with you on that because it's not making him look legit. And that's part of the reason why people aren't buying into it. That's a huge part of the reason why people aren't buying into it. But honestly, that's just to get heat. That's the thing that works with old school booking. That's the thing that it probably works in the Indian market. It's probably a good way to get heat over there as well. It's also a good way to put the Singh brothers on the map to get them a little exposure. So while you're using Jinder to get this push, you're also giving exposure to these 2 Singh brothers. You know, so I agree with you when it doesn't make him look legitimate. But again, when you look at things objectively, you also got to see that it's helping these other 2 guys out. So when they become a tag, well, they are a tag team, but when they start wrestling on SmackDown as a tag team, you already know who they are. And they're already established. Their characters are established. How you feel about them is already established because of their association with Mahal. And that's how that works. That's how that works. I hope I didn't turn anybody off here. I really hope I didn't turn anybody off here. And, you know, if there's more clarity that you want, you can drop it in the comment section. I'll be in the comments. I'll be there. Even though I don't reply to them, I do read them. You know, it's not that many to sift through, so go on ahead, drop your comments. And again, if you leave something good and, you know, something with some substance, something with some bite on it, then hey, you're giving me some content to work with, you know. So keep the comments coming. You know, I can make content based off of comments. You know, work with me, I work with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're new, hey, and you don't want to leave a comment and you're new, you can just put that. You just put that you're new. I wonder who's new to watching my stuff. I never really know who's new. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Drop a like on the video. It helps. It ain't going to help monetarily because YouTube ain't paying wrestling creators if you look at WCPW and everybody else that's complaining about ad revenue. So we ain't worried about that. Just drop a like. We need to spread these videos some more. I would say that it's 100% my fault for not being consistent as to why this shit isn't growing. But hey, drop a like on it if you want more consistency. Drop a comment if you want more content because you're giving me something to work with. And I'll see you guys in the future sometime.